Jermaine, the way you got that hat on makes you look stressed right now. Look how far down.
Is it bad? Is it bad? Hey, listen, man.
Wife, mate.
Hey, listen, welcome back to the Football Thinkers in quarantine. You and myself, Big J.
We're here at CheekySport.
Chris.
Relegation Jake.
And obviously, we have another special guest in the building. He's no stranger to the show. We've had him on before. He's graced us again with his appearance. Super forward. Man like Darren Bent in the building. Well done.
What's going on, Darren?
I'm all good.
Good, yeah? Love for coming on, like. And the quarantine's been all right to you, yeah?
Yeah, no, I've, as I said, I can't really grumble. I mean, I've been able to get out, been still working, still going down to talk sport, still jumping on a few Zooms here and there. It's been all right, to be fair, but obviously if it continues, it might start to grind me a little bit, but up until this point, it's been all right, to be fair.
Calm, right, man. That's the main thing. What about you, man? Are you, man, good, yeah?
I'm all right, man. You see me, I love this quarantine life, but I'm starting to get a bit like, I'm looking at
You love it, yeah?
I'm looking at old videos on my phone and festivals and that. I'm like, I just want to get out there now. I'm just there, like, I just want to go and have a shoots, mate. Like,
these times you'd be crying if you had to do the festival run.
Huh?
You'd be moaning if you had to do that. You'd be saying, this artist, that artist.
This is my problem. I take things for granted.
I'll tell you what, though, once we're free, none of us are going to take this thing for granted, innit? So that takes me off to like our main subject for today, which was the Eredivisie or the Dutch league. We kind of got some news about them officially cancelling their team. They didn't announce no winners. Ajax were on top of the league. Did not take home the trophy or nothing like that. I kind of wanted to get you lot's first thoughts because, of course, even as I'm saying it now, you see Chris doing the super nod like, yeah.
Liverpool should not win the league.
All right, listen, I didn't say nothing about Liverpool, bro. Chill.
I said it.
All right, so, Jack, what did you think when you first got the news about what happened in Holland? What did you think?
I think it's mad personally because do you know why I find this all a bit hard to take in. I think everyone, to an extent, should try and follow suit throughout the European leagues, in my opinion, because when you think about European competition going forward, it throws things into disrepute because if you've got one team, if you've got one league voiding a season, then you've got another league looking to continue the season or awarding a title to another team, whatever. It just puts things into a confusing state afterwards. So for me, I think it's a bit mad.
How will it be a confusing state, you reckon?
Because you're avoiding a season. So what you're going to do is you're going to just keep the teams that were entered into the Europa League and Champions League from last season and just carry it over to the next season. Whereas other leagues will be using new champions or new entries into the Europa League and Champions League. And then also you got another problem with the second division in Holland. The team that were top were 11 points clear.
Right.
And now their season's been voided. So they've lost a whole year of grinding towards a title and getting promoted to the Eredivisie. It's now been wiped. Like, I understand that obviously it's a very tough situation right now, but there needs to be, in my opinion, some sort of it needs to be mirrored throughout, in my opinion, because then it makes it confusing.
What do you reckon, Darren? Do you feel like do you agree with Jack that all the leagues need to do basically the same thing?
Yeah, because obviously if you don't, then you're going to be basically scrapping European football next season, really, because in some regards, I kind of think that the Dutch league, they should have waited. I think they've been too quick to pull the trigger. Like, they should have given themselves a little bit more time, maybe listen to the government, see what was going on in other countries, and then maybe made a decision. But all of a sudden now they've pulled the trigger, they can't come back from that. Yeah. So I think it's like in our country, I don't want us to make the same mistake. Like, I know we keep talking about, training's happening this, I don't know, May the 10th or something. We're going to start playing games then. Well, hold on a second here. The government haven't said that. We're kind of governing ourselves. So I think everyone needs to just calm down, relax. I mean, I do think, though, the season needs to finish. I don't care if you have to keep putting it back, because as you were just saying there, I think the teams at the bottom of the league, obviously, if they haven't been good enough, they deserve to go down. Right. Whereas the teams in the Championship, like Leeds, West Brom, the teams that are fighting to get back up again, they deserve the opportunity to get promoted. So I think we need to just, obviously, if it gets to a point where it's just pushing on and on and on, then we might have to do that. But that's got to be very, very worst case scenario. And as I said, with the Dutch league, they pulled the trigger too quick.
They might have, yeah. And obviously, we have got a bit of different news about what's happening with bare different European leagues, yeah. But one of the main things was that Ajax were level on points at the top. You know what I mean? So it was like everyone felt like because they were level on points and they weren't that clear distance, it was easier, do you know what I mean, to kind of thingy.
But do you guys feel like... Liverpool this season. I think if they were mathematically clear, no one could catch them. I think I'd feel a bit better about, okay, we'll just award them the title because they can't be caught.
Right.
Because mathematically they still can be caught, I don't think you could just hand them the title.
True, because if you use that logic of just handing them the title because they're that many points ahead, then you have to apply the same logic to every other team in the league. So you have to.
Why do you feel like we got to do that though, Jack? I don't think we got to do that.
That's how it works. You can't just have one rule for this and then one rule for another thing. I don't like. All respect to Liverpool, in my opinion, they've won the league, of course.
Yeah.
But then you have to apply the same logic throughout the board, across the board. So Champions League, relegation, Europa League has to.
So it sounds like obviously. Remember, Jack supports Fulham, innit? So you know, for him, that promotion
Division 1 talking the most.
That's in his head. He's like, have you noticed he keeps going back to promotion and relegation? That's it.
I'm not riding on this, mate. I'm trying to get that Premier League life back, man.
Hey, listen. So really and truly, you wouldn't even really mind if those things happened in terms of your bottom three, you go down. I'm trying to say if you ended the season today. So you ended the season today and applied all the rules. So like bottom three go down. No. Oh, that's unfair as well.
I wouldn't like to see that happen.
Of course not, because you've got one example. I'll give you an example here. You've got who is it? Aston Villa in the bottom three, but they've got a game in hand. So if they win that game in hand, they go above whoever's in 17th place. Same with Sheffield United and Man United. So I heard this argument like quite a while ago with Darren Bent of Sky Sports, and he was saying. Say they bring into account Man City being banned from Europe. So now 5th place gets drawn up for Champions League. You've got Man United and Sheffield United battling. Man United are ahead, but Sheffield United have a game in hand. If they win that game in hand, they're going
This
to
is why it's got to finish. This is why the season
is going to be mad. All right, go on, Akeem.
Yeah, look, the way I see it is I said it before, like, this is the biggest sham in football. If they end the season early, is the biggest sham in football. The reason why is because one of the things that always baffles me about this situation is people say, end the season early, you have to. Do people think that if they end the season now, that the new season is just going to start as normal in August? It doesn't work like that.
Yeah,
it doesn't work like that. If it's so bad that they're going to end the season now, it means there's not going to be football for the foreseeable future.
So listen to your logic there, yeah.
Now, wait, hold on. Let me finish. Now, the problem with this, okay, which I don't understand, is if there's not going to be any football till August or September or even October, let's say that that's the case because it's not safe to do so. Bring the season back when it's safe to do so. Why do we have to end the season early?
I agree.
Every other sport is coming back when it's safe to do so, and it's continuing. Like, why is football the only competition where it has to?
Go on, Chris.
Because it ain't going to happen like that. They just need to end everything now.
Explain why.
You start afresh when it's time.
Explain why.
It's done. If this carries on for another 9 months, no football with a crowd for 9 months, 10 months, 11 months, 12 months, start again.
Explain why.
Start again. Just start again, bro. Start fresh.
Because for me, in my opinion, what you can do is you can't just end the season abruptly. It just doesn't bode well with the ethics of the game, in my opinion. What you can do, you can tamper with next season. You can reduce games, whether it be get rid of a League Cup, for example, for 1 year, just to reduce games, or maybe even finding time frames where we can actually make a season viable to make up for the time lost. You can't just scrap a season out of nowhere and then suddenly go, yeah, okay, cool, let's start again, because there's going to be so many questions. There's a lot of financial implications that surround that as well.
It's the money.
The money.
It's all about the money.
Like, we hate to talk about money, but this is the reality. Like,
the problem is the only people who, let's be honest now, the only people who are saying end the season early, either their club that they support is doing badly or they hate Liverpool. It's one or the other. Let's be honest.
We got an Arsenal fan here talking about ending the season.
Exactly.
Please start again. Let's do like the Dutch League and start again.
It's funny that we're saying it because, apparently, in the Dutch League, they might consider reversing the decision.
That looks stupid now.
Some other clubs are taking legal action, isn't it? So obviously, we're very happy about this.
The Dutch League, unfortunately, and as I said, I think it's the wrong decision. But the Dutch League, if they were to reverse their decision, they probably could do that because they've not got as much power as the Premier League. The Premier League runs everything. Do you know what I mean? So the Premier League, once they make a decision, they can't go back on that. Do you know what I mean? The financial implications for that is crazy. So the Dutch League, I know it's got Ajax and a few big teams, But compared to the Premier League, it's
Darren, can I ask you a question? Or in terms of, because this is something that a lot of people don't talk about, is contracts. When it comes to player contracts, like, how complicated is it, like, in a situation like this, to end the season, like, and players' contracts are running out in a couple of months' time? Is it mad complicated, or is it something that can realistically happen?
It can realistically happen because it's like people spoke about people's contracts running out at the end of, I think, is it June, but the season might not have restarted. And it's not complicated because it's just common sense. That obviously, at the end of the day, if we're in a situation where the season hasn't finished yet, you keep going until the season finishes.
But will you not get situations? Apparently, people are saying there's situations where players, if they don't want to play because they're out of contract, they can, they don't have to, and they'll still get paid. So there's going to be a lot of unruly players who now all of a sudden will be doing things as per their contract. So do you think that's going to be a concern, or is it a thing where, if that's going to happen, it's going to happen?
Even agents pushing for some sort of...
You know what? It'd be more so the agents will be pushing it. But I think as players, do you know what I mean? They have got some integrity. Do you know what I mean? So not obviously sometimes footballers get a lot of flack about some of the stuff they do. But at the same time, I think they'll understand the situation, that they won't all of a sudden go, right, I don't know, June the 20th, I can't remember what date it is. That's it, I ain't playing anymore. Do you know what I mean? They still need to get games in. And obviously, the season's still not finished. So really, I know you're contracted to a certain day in a month, but you're also contracted to an end of a season. Do you know what I mean? So if you're contracted if you sign a 4.5-year contract, that's 4.5 year seasons. You know what I mean? So all of a sudden, it's just common sense that you just push it back.
Yeah,
that's true. And I think a lot of players, if they were to sort of to question whether to play or not during this circumstance because of their contract running up, I think in terms of their reputation, it'll go straight out the window anyway. Like you'll be public enemy number one. So I think, whilst an agent might potentially look to try and play around with the idea of like, well, technically he's not in contract, so you've got to up the money or rare. But I think then they've got to take into account whether or not it's going to affect their client and their reputation, and then clubs wanting to take them on anymore. So,
speaking of players going back to work, we just got announced today that Serie A from the 4th of May, there'll be small groups of players going back to training, innit?
Yeah.
Do you feel like that's going to be a waste of time now that, even though there's not, or do you feel like is this like as a fan, should we be excited by this news that players are going back to training, basically? No, you ain't excited. That's how I'm scared.
No, I'd say so, because it gives us like an indication that something's happening now. Like the beginning of the restarting of football was starting to come into place. Like when I heard about the Bundesliga going back into training and they're talking about doing behind closed doors in the mid-May, wherever it was, I started to get excited because I'm thinking about the situation in each country and how far along they are, and that gives me an idea of how to weigh it up.
Yeah, but Jack, let me ask you something on that note. Yeah, we're talking about, like you said, the Serie A might come back, Bundesliga may come back a couple of weeks later. The reality is it realistic that the Europa League and the Champions League can even finish them? Because everyone's now going to be at different times.
I'll be so real with you. I've been saying this from the beginning of the thing. UEFA need to sit down. That whole European football needs to take a break.
Is that fair? No, but Jermaine, is that fair? Is that fair the same way the league's not cancelling the league? Because there's been teams just worked hard. There's been teams just worked hard to get there.
It's a tough one. Because
there's so much domestic sponsorship to worry about, so much contracting, so much relegation. Like, I think domestically, every country, every league needs to focus on themselves.
Domestic is a priority for me personally, not you.
Yeah, man. Once that's reached there,
obviously I'm a Fulham fan, so it doesn't affect me.
Yeah, you're saying it from a Fulham perspective.
Yeah, exactly.
Of course he is.
I'm not just being selfish, but I think domestically it has to be a priority first before we even start thinking about European football, in my opinion, because that has to come in tandem with it. Because if you're going to restart European football, that has to be on the basis that domestic football is ready to go again, because that comes into that schedule. Yeah. So I think I wouldn't want to see it get scrapped, but if something had to take the L, it would have to be the Europa League and Champions League, in my opinion.
And the league, and I think, what about all the domestic cups in the different countries? Their league cups, they'd have to take a back seat as well. I think.
Yeah, in my opinion, that has to take a back seat as well. Yeah,
the most important thing in every country. So you can get rid of domestic cups. You don't necessarily need them. Yeah, cup runs are great, but they're not essential. Do you know what I mean?
It's the foundation of football. League football is the foundation of world football as a whole, in my opinion.
I think that, but the only reason why we have to mention the league is only because of money and sponsorship. Literally. That's literally it. I think if
money in England,
money is a big thing.
That's the only thing. Otherwise, I think everyone would just be like, yeah, the League Cup, all that stuff, and just needs to relax. We get all the
Let's remember another factor. Let's remember another factor that that the Premier League is a complete separate entity than the rest of the EFL as well. So we could get a situation where the EFL will agree a rule, but the Premier League will say no, we're not doing it. So that's another confusion.
I think they should be working in tandem, and I imagine they would be working in tandem.
They should be.
Yeah, but I know they should, like, but I'm saying the Premier League have a right to do their complete, which obviously, Darren, you know, they have a complete different rule book if they want to, in comparison to the rest of the league under them, which could come at a problem for obviously the UK in general, but we'll have to see. Do you know what I mean? Like,
they've got that much power. The Premier League have got that much power, and they pretty much govern themselves, and that comes from that's world football. Do you know what I mean? Because it is the biggest, the most exciting, and obviously it makes the most money. So in that alone, they can just turn around, and the UEFA, the EFL, all these things go, right, got this agenda, and the Premier League could just turn around and go, well, no, that doesn't suit us. I mean, the whole thing would fall to pieces.
Yeah, it's true.
It's funny though, with all the teams going back here, everybody, it's the first thing because obviously things are moving around in Europe, like you said earlier, Darren, we all know Premier League it's a very, very powerful league, like so much money over here. And obviously the first thing that we did here was like, Liverpool are going to win the league, or like, Chris, are they going to get cancelled? Like, that whole thing's going to happen, If we do have games behind closed doors, I was saying to my bedroom earlier this week, is it mad, you guys just let me know, is it mad for the footballers and coaching staff to get tested before they start like training?
No, they have to. That's a must.
Is that mad?
Yeah, because that's a precedent for a country. So if you're bringing sport of high caliber like that back into society, and you're not testing the players, what sort of message does that
talk about the fans
to the world?
No, but I'm saying
no fans are going to
behind closed doors anyway, innit? So like, forget the fans.
I know, but it's a principle matter. You have to test these players. You have to.
I don't think they are though. I don't think they are. Do you reckon they'll test the players?
Yeah. I think they're going to have to, but I think the worry is that if we're still isolating and they do this, it might not be that much of a concern. But if they start letting people out, and then they test the players, then there's no point, because the players the players' families might go out. The players been tested, they're fine. The family's bringing something back. It gets it again anyway.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So if they're gonna test these players, then the isolation.
All right. Another mad question, Can't we quarantine them in a place like a camp?
No.
That just leaves you. What?
No.
You got in a hotel for a month. No family, no girls, nothing.
Like the World Cup,
Like 1 month in a hotel.
That sounds.
Capello's World Cup.
That sounds similar to something that I think Dana White is doing that at the UFC. He's
now they said it. They said it.
Oh, he tried it. Yeah, he tried it.
You can tell me about that. What's that? Jack?
So what they wanted to do was they wanted to get Khabib versus who is it? Is it?
Oh, was that the island where they moved them to the island?
And the head guy at Disney was like, "Nah, this ain't gonna happen. No. This ain't gonna run. This ain't gonna run." He was like, "Please."
Disney were allowed to do something reality, like this is Battle Royale. That's actually
it's a UFC Love Island edition.
We're going to take this team for Hunger Games. Hunger Games.
We've got text.
No, you know, if they tried this whole quarantine thing, and as I said, they took all the footballers to a remote place and all that.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, you're going to have people like the government and the NHS going to be start moaning like crazy, because they're like, you're pulling resources from everyday life, like a special occasion playing football. So it's just going to cause that many problems. Yeah.
That's why I thought they weren't going to test them. I thought because resources are stretched already, I thought that was why players weren't going to get tested before they play.
Regardless if you get tested or not, you still need to have ambulance responsibility.
Exactly. Yeah, doctors, ambulances, everyone.
Yeah, everybody's there, innit?
It has to be there regardless. That's how otherwise you can't put an event of that.
You know what it is? The more we discuss this whole thing, the more I realise we might as well just scrap it.
Nah.
No. Jermaine,
you're a man that's a lot of obstacles to the way.
The more you do, let's keep it a million. We're keeping it 100,
Do you know what?
Listen,
Jermaine.
I'm not hating on Liverpool. If Liverpool win the league,
Who's a Liverpool fan here?
No one.
Oh, okay.
But you know what it is? You gotta be. For the fans, you gotta be careful. I am not. Listen, if they can give Liverpool
a hater, guys. He's a Liverpool hater.
I'm not hating.
I am.
You can give it.
I'm a little hater.
No, when
You know what, Jermaine? And in fact, you know, Darren, I want to ask you a question on this. You know, another factor that people haven't thought about, if they cancel the league now, what happens to all of these player bonuses that they got per game? All of these records that's been broken. Hold on, no, it's a contract, bro. Hold on, wait.
I'm trying to take all the players' pieces.
I'm talking about all records.
That's a side question.
Wait, I'm talking about all records. I'm talking about all records, including even transfer bonuses and all of these things, yeah? So are they still going to be factored in, or are you going to try and take it? Are you now going to start deducting? It becomes very, very complicated. It's not as straightforward as, let's just cancel league and start it again. It's not that straightforward, man. Things happen.
We know it's complicated. I'm just trying to say it's so complicated. That just seems like the easiest thing to do at this point.
No.
And listen,
it depends what kind of bonuses there is as well, because if it's like a certain amount of appearances and you haven't made that, and that's simple. But say for like a striker, strikers get goal bonus. Now, if your bonus is score 20 goals and you guys score 20 goals, I'm going in to get my bonus. My bonus.
Yes.
Where's my peas, bro?
Darren, the manager says sorry, they don't exist. It didn't happen.
The squad in the land.
How could a player bring in the schedule and be like, nah, boss, I was gonna score 3 goals against this team.
You have to be at that bonus now before it finishes. Vardy's on 19.
You have to be at the yeah. No, you know what's though? If I'm managing a short amount of appearances in games, bro, I've done the damn thing. You better give me my bonus.
Exactly. Give me my bonus. I don't care. The season's been voided. Put the ball in the net.
But imagine the club mess. The club's gonna have to refund. The club's gonna have to refund everyone's season tickets.
Oh, mate, definitely.
Because Darren, he's a Fulham season ticket holder. So, do you know what I mean?
I get it. Do you know what I mean? Like, if the season's uninvolved, I can understand why fans would be like, well, hold on, I paid for what? For how many games in the Championship? Like
58.
Some madness. So like, if I pay for that amount of money, I want to see that amount of games. So if I don't see that, it's money back.
It's true, and I think I'd want to I don't know. I was talking about this last week. It's quite a tough one because it's a difficult moment, and I don't want to be like, I want my £100 back for the games that haven't been played. Like, I wouldn't be upset if I didn't get the money back, but if the money went to a charitable cause, then I'd be like, cool, fine, I'm down with that. If the club are just keeping the money for games that we haven't actually paid to go and see, then I'll start getting a bit annoyed because
But how you meant to keep them lights on, Jack?
Huh?
How you meant to keep them lights on that statue up?
Fulham's got a billionaire owner. The lights will stay on. Don't worry about that, mate.
Don't worry about Darren, you're talking about the Michael Jackson statue that you see.
No.
You know, that's in Gary Neville's. Is it the Museum of Football now?
Is it?
Yeah. As soon as the new owner came in, he's like, no, we're getting rid of this. It's gone. He did when Chica came in. He was like, yeah, we're gonna get rid of this. So it went, and then, man. But I don't know. No, to be honest, it's a difficult one because you don't want to be insensitive. You don't want to start suggesting certain things. But I think,
sorry, Jack. We know you. We know you're a first class guy, bro. We already talked about it.
Look at you.
Jack ain't gonna disturb the peace too much. Hey, Darren, how come
when I take these off, it's different.
What?
The club called Jack, so they called.
Imagine this. I was doing some work, and then I got a phone call, and it was from one of the liaison officers. They're like, "How's it going? You all right?" I was like, "Yeah, I'm good, thanks." Like, "Yeah, just checking in, see if you're all right." I was like, "Oh, cheers, mate.
Wow.
Thanks for that. I'm fine." But yeah, he's like, "Yeah, I'm working from home now. Just give me a call, my direct line, if you have any issues." I was like,
"You know them ones."
That's really nice. I was like, weird. Like, would you want to FaceTime or something? I don't know.
Hey, Darren, I
want on the phone to the guy from Fulham. Like, have you been watching Swarms' live?
Yeah. Hey, shorts Tory Lanes, he comes to the
We'd just be talking about how life is.
If you're bored,
hey, I wanted to quickly ask, so Darren, what's your another thing that people haven't spoke about too much, is a transfer window. Mm-hmm. When do you think it should happen? And do you think big transfers are still going to happen this summer? Or do you think, because clubs have spent
not this summer, but whenever the season finishes, there's definitely going to be transfers.
So what? Do you still think there should be a window of the same amount of time?
Yeah,
Or do you feel...
players are going to need a rest after the thingy anyway.
Bro, no. Again, we got to deep this. Hold on, Jermaine.
I've got 10 minutes left. This is peak.
Hold on. You got to deep this. If you're gonna finish the season when it has to end, can you give players the same amount of rest? Because you got to start a new season again. You got to start a new season, bro.
The players pay too much anyway. They need a rest, man.
The players have just had, how long we had now? About 6 weeks, 7 weeks rest.
Yeah.
Are fresh, ready to go. But with the transfer, I still think at the end of the season, and then you get a period of a window of the transfer window, I think people will still spend, but I don't think they'll spend like they were, because obviously they're going to have to be covering costs of obviously the time they've missed. So they might go and get one big player that they might need. Like obviously United have been linked to people like Grealish and Sancho. And if I was United, I'm putting my foot down to try and get one of them. Yeah. But other than that, maybe Cover's going to be a little bit more cautious and be like, well, maybe just wait and see what we desperately need and then go and get a player.
I think it might end up regulating crazy spending as well. I think now, like, it's a little madness that is happening. We'll end up regulating it all, you know?
Yeah.
Well, speaking of crazy spending, I wanted to ask you guys a quick question, yeah, because you know that even though we're all on lockdown, there's still so much transfer news happening, isn't it? And today, the most recent one was a swap deal with Arsenal and Chelsea for Willian plus 50 million for Aubameyang. Of course, this is all rumours.
That's fake news, geezer. Come on.
Chris.
Grow up. That sounds like Daily Star.
Anytime I mention Aubameyang, you tell me it's fake news. Has bro got... Is bro...
Grow up.
Wait, you friends with
anytime I mention Aubameyang, it's fake news.
Grow up.
He's leaving, bro.
No one listen.
Chelsea.
He's gone.
Chelsea.
Bro, if they want him, then they want him.
This ain't back in the day, bro, when we had no peace. Don't talk to me about Chelsea.
Back in the day, we had...
Was it 9th, 10th?
But Chris, I will say, Chris.
Yeah, you're right. It's not like back in the day.
Good Division 1.
That's the thing. He acts like Arsenal. They moved all their players domestically. I
guarantee you now, Uber is not going Chelsea, and we ain't getting no William.
Hey, what? Aubameyang's Uber's going Chelsea, no?
Uber.
So, it's like
Uber. Trust me about.
Hold on.
Are you crazy?
Money or not, Chris? Money or not?
He's gonna get that lapse.
He's not crazy, bro.
I guarantee you now. I bet you £100. I'll shave it all off.
Where's Aubameyang going?
He's not going to Chelsea.
Chris, so where's Aubameyang going?
He's going anywhere else but Chelsea.
He wants to get trophies.
Right.
Go
on, Darren.
Who wants him though? Who wants him?
I'm as well. I'm sick and tired of taking Chelsea's deadwood. That annoys me. That we just keep taking their players. That does my head in. But Aubameyang, like I can see in the next couple of seasons him leaving because how old is he now? 31.
31. He can go though.
Yeah. He will go. But I can see him going somewhere like PSG or someone with a lot of money, deep pockets, going to Chelsea. Potentially not, but also as well, I do think that Harry Kane's going to have a part to play in this because he's probably looking at that situation as well, and he's probably thinking, well, Harry Kane's already come out and said, well, if Spurs don't progress in the same rate that I am, I'm leaving. Well, to me, Spurs ain't going to win the Premier League in the next 3 years. They're not going to do it.
Next 3, Darren, be real. Next 200 years, bro.
What I'm saying,
come on.
He's going to be out of there.
Taking the mick.
Yeah.
That's the next 2 years.
Darren, right.
He's got every right to leave. He's got every right to leave. He's been there for a long time.
Yeah.
He's shown them.
He should have left 2 years ago.
Yeah, he should have left.
Been left.
And he's shown them loyalty by staying there for that long. And I think now it's the right time for him to go. Look, I'm getting towards like the peak of my career. I need to go and play for a bigger side.
He's had big injuries as well. So I think to myself, he's definitely
he's one of the best strikers in the world.
And other strikers like Aubameyang is going to be looking at this Harry Kane situation and thinking, well, you know what? I better get a move on here because if Harry Kane was to go to Real Madrid, I can't go there. If Harry was to go to Barca, I can't go there. And even if you go domestic United, Harry Kane goes there, he can't go there either. Yeah. So where does he go?
Exactly, man. You know there's a knock-on effect of all of these things, Chris.
He needs to go PSG and relax.
Because like Darren just said, at the end of the day, one thing we all know is the heavy hitters, yeah, hopefully Newcastle included, all the heavy hitters are going to be spending money soon. You know what I'm saying? What? Jack, when I said Newcastle,
yeah, that dodgy takeover. Now, drop me out, mate. Drop me out. Listen, it's giving clubs like Fulham less of a chance of
Jack, you was never doing anything, bro.
Jack, you spent 100 million last year.
I know, and look what happened. Look what happened, mate.
You know what, Darren? Them never let him live it down yet, just because his team spent 100 million and got ready.
Darren, they moved
money
out and put it on the table and went, yeah, spend it. Like,
That's
what
unheard
am I gonna do? I'm not the owner. I just support the team, bruv. Like, you lot acting like I'm putting
Can
100 million.
I also say it? Can I also say it? They always make it sound like a bad thing, bro. Like you lot are supposed to spend the money to.
Hold on, Big J.
M's.
Remember when they spent 100 million? Yeah, he said Fulham will finish 4 places beneath Arsenal. They got relegated, bro.
Yeah,
Yeah.
listen, sometimes you can't get no. This is life, bro. I just said it with my chest. You see the thing. See, the thing is, if we'd have spent 5 million, you would have said, "Oh, you're a small team, no man."
But you are a small team.
No ambition to do well in the league. We spent 100 M's, and now we didn't stay up. Like, fair enough, we didn't stay.
They're
up.
going back up. Fulham are going back up.
Well, we don't know, mate. I don't know. They've won the season. We're done out here. We're done out here, mate. I don't know. Oh,
Hey, man, don't worry, man. You're not going to get that Mitrovic piece. Don't worry about that, man. Listen. I'm going to wrap it there anyway, because we only got a few minutes left. Do we need to do comments or anything?
Yeah, let's do
No.
it.
Yeah, go on.
Go on, let's do it.
I'll let you guys do a couple and then.
Yeah. All right, I wanted to quickly ask you, man, who do you think, besides obviously the 3 teams that are in the relegation zone and Liverpool, which team do you think is going to lose out the most from if the season ended now? Like, which team do you think just basically would not want? Sheffield United?
Definitely Sheffield United, easily.
And Liverpool, of course, but
Sheffield United.
Maybe Arsenal. I think Arsenal.
No Arsenal. Arsenal are fine. Sheffield
I think
United.
we've got Champions League 5th.
is it still 420?
No.
Oh, yeah, we're still in April. Yeah.
Hey,
That loud, Chris. That loud.
But I saw an article. Tottenham's got their full strength squad back. You know, remember their team was depleted before the.
They're all back. Oh,
Yeah, everyone's back now. They've got their full strength.
Coronavirus.
All right, let me get some comments before we go, yeah?
Crazy.
Yeah, go on, read some out.
Somebody called Whiplash left a comment that says, Giant looks like he just landed from the gulag.
Back stuff. I don't play Warzone.
Gaming reference.
Yeah, it's because of the trim, innit? Hey, Darren, know how I was talking about trim before we started?
Yeah.
Giant shaved his head last week, bro. He looks...
Look.
This is England.
But someone says, hold tight to a man like Jamie O'Hara.
Well, me, yeah.
I said Jamie O'Hara.
My style is exactly. If my football career would be anything, it'd be Jamie O'Hara. Started off really well, and then, yeah. Anyway,
I just said Andy
You never played football. You never
I
played
said
football.
more Andy Reid.
listen. When I was young, yeah. When I was 6, I played for Chelsea, and then
No, you did not.
Oh,
No,
what
you
are
did not.
about?
I'm sorry.
Are you taking a piece? Jack, we got Darren Bent here. You're taking the mic.
Darren Bent. Big Darren Bent's here.
Big Darren Bent here. You're taking the mic.
Listen. I swear, on my mum's life, I went to Cannes when I was 6 to play in a tournament for Chelsea, and then
No, you didn't. What number? What number was you?
I was a defender.
Where did you play?
Where
you play?
Left back, right back.
Centre back.
Yeah,
What, like Robert
he
The thing's about to run out. Hey, Darren Bent, thank you so much for coming on the show, brother.
That's what they call me, Robert Truth. Anyway,
Robert who?
Robert who? Hey, listen, thank you so much. Listen,
We got Darren.
thank you so much for
Thank you,
coming on.
Darren.
Nice, man. Appreciate it.
Love,
Guys,
listen, man.
welcome anytime.
Listen,
Love.
man, you've been here with myself, Big J.
Yeah, CheekySport act.
Like a Chris.
Relegation drag.
And obviously, that's Darren Bent, man. And we're out, man. Catch you guys next week.
Dave.
Big up Darren. Safe.
Peace.